Sorry guys, there's a heavy rainfall over here and hence it's getting disconnected in between. Just in case if you lost me, just stay online as it is. I'll join back. So yeah, coming back to are the operator case sensitive? Answer is yes. Operators are case sensitive and has to be written in the uppercase. All right. So I'll just take a pause. Any doubts on whether the operators are case sensitive or not? What does AND is doing? What does OR is doing? Why this particular bracket is important? Why are the results varying when we give when we give operators in a uppercase and when we give operator in a lowercase? Any further doubts or questions on this?
So Shiv, I tried doing a similar search and I tried to use multi-highlighter, but not all the keywords are getting highlighted.
Absolutely. You're doing in a uppercase or in a lowercase?
In lowercase itself.
So not say multi-highlighter is basically just to highlight if the word is existing on that particular web page, then only it will highlight.
Right.
Multi-highlighter has no relation between Boolean and the words it's highlighting. What words it's highlighting is basically whatever the words we're giving here, it does not have any relation. The words are getting searched in this particular page or in the particular LinkedIn platform. The relation of multi-highlighted to the web page is basically whatever the words we're giving here. If they're available on the web page, that will get highlighted. It doesn't have to do anything with the Boolean search. It's not a search platform. It's basically a highlighting platform. On a web page, which are the keywords are there. If it is there, it will highlight. Otherwise, it will ignore. Now, coming back to your question, whether if you're giving this and or caps or small letters, uppercase or lowercase.
In uppercase only, but what I'm saying is, for example, below I can see Java, microservices, AWS getting highlighted. But when I use the multi-highlighter, it's only showing Java.
Maybe we'll have to refresh the page.
Okay.
And highlighter doesn't have any, I mean, for all web pages, wherever we search, it will highlight, right? It is not limited to a particular site or something like that.
No, any web page it will highlight.
Okay. Thank you.
You open a website also, any web page it will highlight.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, just so multi-highlighter is basically whatever keywords you give, it will highlight. Something like, let's say, we just search for something similar in the Google. So even in the Google also, what are the keywords we give, it is highlighting. So let's say application also. Let's say we just remove all this. We did not search for application here, but we are giving application here. So it started highlighting application. So it doesn't have to do anything between search and highlighting. Highlighter is just highlighting the keyword. It doesn't have to do anything. The keywords given over here has to be getting searched with the search engine. No. Whatever keywords are given over here are basically getting highlighted on the web page. Something like application, something like, let's say this.
Shiv, just a quick question here. I downloaded this Chrome extension multi-highlighter, but it is not working. I do not know what's the reason.
Just check this. There are a number of multiple highlighters. Manage extension.
The same extension I have downloaded.
So you might have to refresh the page and uninstall and reinstall.
Okay. We'll try
this is the one. I can send it here.
Yes, the same one. Thank you. We'll do that.
So with the same one also, with the same logo also, you would see multiple multi-highlighters.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. So let's say, just go to Chrome Store.
Right.
So earlier I was using this, in fact. Even this is good.
Okay.
Highlighting, multi-highlight.
Okay.
Okay. So there are a number of Chrome extensions.
All right, Chip. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other doubts between multi-highlighter and search result keywords? All right. Let's move on to next. As I mentioned, are keyword case sensitive? No, keywords are not case sensitive. Are the operator case sensitive? Yes, operators are case sensitive and has to be keyword, have to be written in a upper case. Okay, we used double quotes, we covered, and we also covered this bracket. So now we might have understood the importance of bracket. And Shri, does that answer your question? Or do you want us to dive deep on it?
That answers, Shiv. Thank you.
That answers, right? Okay, be honest, it's completely fine. You ask 100 times also, no problem.
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. All right. Let's move on to the. So that's about a quick recap from the previous session. And then now, as I mentioned, like today we'll be learning how to use same Boolean operators and or not, as well brackets and those double quotes in a Google search. So basically in Google Docs, the double quotes, this is not the right format. But if you type it in the Word doc, or if you type it in a text doc, or if you type it in the notepad or directly on a search engines, you would see this is the right format. All right, it's just that we are covering notes in a Google Doc, so we don't have an option to give the right format because it does not accept it. It just take in this way, but otherwise the right format for the double quotes is this one. So yeah, now we'll be going on to how to basically use these operators in Google. So now let's say here we give.
Excuse me, this is Stephanie here, Mr. Shiv. Yeah, I've got this question. I'm actually very new to this thing. So I just want to learn from you and then start working. So I didn't get what are these highlighters and how is it to be used.
Got it. You're saying you're very new to recruitment as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you attended previous 2 sessions? Highlighter you keep aside. Slowly you'll get to understand.
Sure.
Did
I haven't attended previous 2 sessions, no.
You haven't, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. I'll upload the recordings. Just go through that. Maybe once we come back to our next session, not tomorrow's one, maybe next weekend. In between this week, just try to watch all these 3-4 videos, whichever you missed. And about this Chrome extensions, highlighter, you don't have to carry yourself. Be calm. Slowly you'll understand. First, we'll only focus on this Boolean operators, what AND is doing, what NOT is doing, what OR is doing, how to use them in a various portals. And once we complete at least 5-6 sessions, that time you'll come to know what are these Chrome extensions, what's the job they are doing, how they are helpful for us, what kind of extensions we can use it. So for now, just ignore, focus on the basics.
Okay.
Shiva, I have a question here. These classes are only on weekends or?
No, it's only on weekend, only Saturday, Sunday, 8 to 10.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, all right then. Thank you. Okay, now, how do we use those AND or NOT on a Google? Why do we use? Maybe in a future session, we'll get to know how these Google searches are helpful. But at present, how do we use? We'll cover in today's session. So let's say now Java and microservices and AWS or SWS or cloud. So it's pretty much doing the same job here. So Java and microservices and AWS or SAS or cloud. So what it's giving us a list of results where we see a Java, pretty much every result will have Java and microservices and AWS or SAS or cloud. All right, but is there any difference between when we use this operator in LinkedIn, Monster, Naukri versus Google? Anyone here?
I think yes, Shiv, because Google is a wider search engine, so it will not just show profiles. It can show, you know, anything related to the search.
Okay, so let's say again we search here. So Java and microservices and AWS or SAS or cloud. So though we'll get a list of results, as one of our member mentioned that Google is a wider search engine and we get a lot of list of results which has this particular keywords. So now here what we have done, Java and microservices and AWS or SAS or cloud, we have used it. And here we have used the brackets. Now similarly, if I say in a Google instead of and, it's always better because for Google, space itself is and. And instead of writing or, pipe, that is standing line. Standing line or pipe itself, so or replaces in Google as pipe or a standing line, and and operator replaces in Google as a space. We don't really have to mention and. Space itself is and for Google. And or, so bracket remains the same, double quotes remains the same for Google, but wherein or is something is replaced in Google as a pipe. Now let's say now we give this search. So here also we got the similar results, but now let's see what actually it's doing. How to understand what actually is doing? What is the difference when we use and in Google search versus space? What is the difference when we use and versus space? What is the difference when we use and versus space? Okay. So basically what happens, let's search again Java and microservices, keep the examples basic. Java and microservices. Here is a one search. And now here is a second search, Java space microservices. So we might not be able to see a pretty evident example when we use this such basic keywords, only 2 or 3 keywords. But eventually, when we advance to some of the advanced sessions, when we start using some multiple number of keywords, that time we'll realize the importance of or the difference between and versus space. Now, both the results are giving us the result. This is giving some 168 millions of lakhs of results, and this is giving us 26 lakhs of results. So what is it doing? Why it is giving 26? Though we'll not be able to see 26 lakhs or this many lakhs of results, Google will restrict us to view not more than 300 or 400 results in overall. That will cover a note. However, here if you see, there's a huge variation between the numbers, these numbers and this number. When we use A and D and, we get 168 lakh result. Wherein when we use just space, we get 26 lakh results. So that's a not even 26, 260 lakh results. So 168 lakhs and 260 lakh. Why is this difference coming in? Now let's try to understand the technicality of it. To understand.
So you were saying about pipe, right? I mean,
We'll come to
it's
pipe. First
replaced.
we'll cover
Okay.
and, then we'll come to pipe. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
We'll come there. We'll come. Otherwise, the example might become a little complex, and then it will be complex to explain also. So first cover this basic part. Okay, what is the difference when we use and, A and D and versus space in a Google search?
So I think Shiv, and it is taking as an extra keyword when
Absolutely.
you're typing in Google.
Yes. To understand this, so here we have Java space microservices. It's not pipe, it's just the space. Okay. Otherwise, let me remove that. It will give a confusion. So this search is looking like this. And this search is looking like this. So this has given us around 168 lakhs. And this has given us around 260 lakhs. Why so much of variation? Now, if you closely observe, that, how is this reading? So www.google.com/query, Q stands for query, is equal to Java. Whatever the space is there here, it understood it as plus, then again A and D and again whatever the space is here, it has understood as plus. And in this case, google.com/search query equal to Java plus microservices. So basically plus here is trying to, whatever space is here, space is exchanged by plus, and this space is trying to help us here to give the list of results with both the keywords. And that plus is basically working as a and over here. When we give a space here in the search bar, this space is replaced here in a URL, in a search query as a plus. Here also, if we see, this space is replaced as a plus, and what are the keywords like Java and microservices remain as it is. But if we have a close observation, and also remain as it is. So what it's basically trying to do is basically it's trying to understand and also as a keyword. It's not trying to understand and as an operator. It's basically trying to understand and as a keyword. As I mentioned, in such short example, we might not be able to see a kind of a evidence where and Google is understanding as a keyword, but not as an operator. But maybe in the future, when we come up with some of the complex searches, that time we'll understand this and is understood by Google as a keyword, but not as an operator. And that's the reason in this search, we have little lesser result comparable to this search, because here Java space microservices, this is clearly searching only for a Java and microservices, but wherein here it is searching for an additional keyword Java and microservices. And that's the reason when we give and here, we have lesser result comparable to when we give space here, because here space itself is an and for Google, and it's only searching for only 2 keywords. But wherein here it's searching for 3 keywords, Java space and space microservices. And that's how the URL looks like. Query is equal to Java plus and plus microservices. Now let's say if we extend this and with SQL. Now again, if you see here, Java plus SQL plus microservices. And again, as it is case sensitivity, as it is extraction. Now let's say and small. Again, if you see here, Java plus plus microservices. So basically this and Google is trying to understand it as a keyword, but not as an operator. Wherein when we give here just Java space microservices, that space itself is and for Google. And that's reason the number of results what we get in versus to and versus just space, we have a higher result. All right, so I'll just take a pause. Any questions or any doubt to understand the difference between space and an operator, and when we use and operator in Google as and with the spelling versus just the space, we are replacing and with space. Any doubts, any questions? Like if you closely watch here, query is equal to Java plus and plus microservices, but wherein query here is equal to Java plus microservices. So this result is searching where we have a list of results of Java and microservices, but wherein here this result is searching where we have a list of results with Java and as a keyword plus microservices.
Shiv, a quick question, but ideally, I'm a little confused because I felt it should be the other way around, because and will appear in many in many pages, right? So whereas here where you're giving only Java space microservices, it's very clear to Google that they are just these 2 keywords, but where you're giving Java and microservices, I felt that the search result should be more, because then Google will search everywhere for the word and wherever it is mentioned, it should give more. So somehow I felt we should have a higher number with and lower number with just the space.
No, here with and, the reason we have lower number because it's searching for 3 keywords, Java, and as a keyword, and microservices, but wherein it's searching here only for 2 keywords, Java and microservices. That's reason the number of results here is higher Comparable to number of results, here is lower.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, let's see, as I mentioned, in this such short example, it would be really difficult to get the evidence of it, but let's try the way microservices and Java is getting highlighted if the word AND is also getting highlighted.
Shiv,
Mhm.
suppose
Here
if
now,
we,
here is a use case. Java is getting highlighted, AND is getting highlighted. So whatever the keywords we give here, basically like Java microservices is getting highlighted here. Similarly, now when and is also getting highlighted here, that means Google is not reading it as a operator. Google is reading it as a keyword. Though it is in a small caps, it's still highlighting. Yeah, please ask your
yeah.
question.
So I was saying if we put and we have mentioned Java and microservices and the caps. Okay, if we mention the result is 1 lakh, I think whatever it is. If we mention and in small, so the result will be same or it would be a different.
It would be similarly a same actually, because and as I mentioned, keywords are not case sensitive. Operators are the case sensitive. And here and either we write in a capital letter or either we write in a small letter. It's not making any difference. Like Java and microservices. Java and microservices. So both are giving us the same results.
So Shiv, this is equal to the search is as equal to putting quotes is what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, quotes is again completely different.
Right. So because no, the search is actually taking the entire.
Let's say if you're saying
Java and microservices. Suppose you put the quotes in front of Java. No, first you put the quotes there, Java, and the last microservices put the quotes. See how it reacts.
So it will
there
search
and last.
Now
this is
in
exactly
this case,
the same. Yeah.
Now in this case, it will search for the result where Java and microservices is mentioned as it is. So this and could be either a capital or it could be small, but it will only show a list of results where Java and microservices mentioned as it is. Now here in the searches, what's happening? Microservices is somewhere, Java is somewhere. Microservices is somewhere, Java is somewhere, and is somewhere. But when you're giving a double quotes, now if you see the number of results also would vary and it will be way lesser. So 70,000. Now if you see here Java and microservices as it is, Java and microservices as it is. Java and microservices, Java and microservices, Java and microservices. Though we have given and in a capital letter, but it's also showing us list of results with a small letter. As I mentioned, keywords are never a case sensitive. It's only an operator. So what it's trying to do, it's trying to take and as a keyword, but it's not trying to take and as a operator in any ways. Even if you remove these double quotes, the result will be way higher. And you would see Java somewhere, and somewhere, microservices somewhere. But luckily, we could see some results where
all together,
all together or somewhere here and there, and that and was getting highlighted. Just to get the evidence of it, what and mean for Google? Is it as a keyword or is it as an operator? So here it is. Otherwise, it would not highlight that and. And similarly, if you're giving a space here, in this case also we'll see, just in case, if there is a keyword and, is it getting highlighted anywhere? The way we tested here in couple of last pages, just to see and whether it is getting highlighted and is it understood by Google as a keyword or as an operator, and we got the evidence that it understood by Google as a keyword but not as an operator. Similarly, when we give space here, so we got a list of results with Java and microservices, like query is equal to Java plus microservices, but a use case, if there is an and somewhere, will it highlight? Let's take a look. or else we'll at least see the results where and is appearing, but it's not getting highlighted. So that we have evidence that space itself is reading as a and for Google, and it's not taking that and as a keyword, because anyways we did not mention here. But let's see, as I mentioned, like example is too short, we might not get the evidence, but yeah, here is the evidence. Now here and is there, but it's not getting highlighted because it's not even mentioned here. That space itself is and for Google. So here also we have and, but it's not getting highlighted. All right. So I'll just take a pause. Any doubts or questions or follow-up question on how is and being worked or being understood by Google? So and basically and in portals we use, but wherein for a Google we use only space. So see that. So in our use case, we have seen that and is understood by Google as a keyword and not as the operator. And Google is giving us the results with Java, and microservices in search. However, in Google is understanding. And giving us result. Java and microservices. Okay. So in our use case, we have seen that and is understood by Google as a keyword and not as an operator, and Google is giving us a result with Java, and microservices in search result. However, in below example, we see a lot more result because Google is understanding space between Java and microservices as an operator. And and is giving us the results with Java and microservices. That is Java space microservice 2,60,000 result. Hence we can that space itself is and for Google, and we don't have to use and as an operator. So, hence, we can conclude that space itself is and for Google, and we don't have to use and as an operator in Google search engine. In Google search. Instead, space is enough. All right, I'll just take a pause. Any doubts or any confusion? Why and we are using in LinkedIn or Monster as a spelling and, but wherein in Google we are not using and we're just using space, because space itself is and for Google. Wherein for LinkedIn, their search algorithm is little different. They go with more of a and or not format, wherein Google goes with space format. Okay. So how do we use and in Google? How do we use and operator in Google? Anyone here?
By giving space.
Awesome. By giving space and by not giving and just a second, team. My sister is calling. I'll be back in a moment. Just give me a moment. All right, so how do we use the OR operator in Google? So let's go and see how do we use the OR operator in Google. Okay, so Java and microservices. Let me close this, both the searches. Let me reopen. Java or microservices. One. Okay. So 1980 lakh results. So same results. Okay, so how is Google understanding now O or OR? Both the results are same. Both the results are same. Let's say now. So let's give. And what is a thumb rule? Whenever we use OR, we should be closing in a bracket. Here we did not close in a bracket. So we don't know whether Google is searching this pipe as a or is it just taking an additional keyword, because we are not putting them in a bracket. Now let's put them in a bracket. All right. So here still the same results. So OR seems to be understood by Google the way we explored that, and seems to be understood by Google as a and seems to be understood by Google as a what we say as a keyword, but not as an operator. Similarly, for a OR use case, we'll see. Now let's say here we have used this. Otherwise, let's rerun the searches, both the searches on a new search engine, new tab. And then we'll take this entire search part. This is how here it is. Then we'll take this part. So as I mentioned that the example is not lengthy, so we might not get the evidence, but we'll stick to the rules. And the way we cross-checked for AND, we'll also cross-check for OR. And both are given in the bracket. So here, let's go for this example, Java or microservices. Google.com/search question mark query is equal to Java. So as I mentioned, like the plus itself is AND for Google. So we have a plus here. Wherever we see space, we have a plus mark over here. Then OR is as it is. And then again, wherever we see space, we have a plus mark here. So did we use here bracket? Yes, we did use the bracket here. All right. Even if you see here, bracket remained as it is, then Java remained as it is, then space is replaced by plus, or remains as it is, and again space is replaced by plus, and then microservices. Wherein in this example, here we have taken and then we have put it here. So bracket remained as it is. So this bracket remained as it is, but where this pipe has been replaced by %7c. Here OR is not replaced by anything. OR has been kept as it is. This is in a large caps, we'll also see in a small caps. And here if you see this pipe is basically replaced by %7c plus, again that space is been replaced by plus and then microservices, and then that closing bracket remains same. Here also you see Java, opening bracket remains same, Java, then plus is basically a space, and then this pipe is replaced by %7c, but not as a pipe as it is, plus microservices. So now if you see in these two examples, the way and was not replaced in the previous example, and it used it as a keyword. Similarly, here also or, as I mentioned, the example is short, so we might not get the evidence of it. But when we go forward in our advanced sessions, we would know the importance of using pipe versus or in a Google, because our examples will be widely broader. But for just for a basic understanding, understand that or we don't really have to use or in Google. That pipe itself is or for Google. So here, if you see in other logic also, when we written and it took plus and plus microservices. That means and was used by Google as a keyword, but not as an operator. In a similar logic, here also, when we use pipe, then the pipe has been replaced by %7c, which is basically used as an operator, but not as a keyword. Here also, when we use space, that space has become plus, and that space has been used and understood by Google as an operator, but not as a keyword. But when we use and in both the cases, or in both the cases, and as well or in the both the cases, we are seeing here, there is no replacement of that particular keyword. It just as it is. That means we can conclude that or is basically understood by Google as an additional keyword, but not really as an operator. And as I mentioned, in and we got the evidence, but when in or, we might not get the evidence, but let's try to see, because the example is really short. Or at least a result where or is mentioned and is not highlighted.
I tried all OR. Okay. And the search number is different again.
Search number is different again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's reason I ran a search again multiple times on a new tab. That will happen.
Shiva, I have a question here. When you have given a space in between the keywords, Google takes it as a and operator, right? So when you are giving space in between the pipe also, will it take as a and then or how is it?
Here, if you see that
you are
space,
using the space between the pipe,
space
right?
is replaced by plus.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is it is considering it as and as well, right?
No. In between and there is an operator pipe that is replaced by %7c.
Okay.
So that's reason it's understood as a Java or microservices. So as I mentioned, this example is very short to get the evidence, but when we go forward and we go with some of the complex examples where we're using more than 10 keywords, 15 keywords, 20 keywords, that time we'll put the real time to analyze whether that or is working as a keyword or is working as an operator. But to start with, just
You mean to say that space is not considered here? Java space pipe space.
See, in URL, wherever you see space, it will be replaced by plus.
Okay.
But in a logic, the space is giving us a results with combination of and. Now here, when we used Java space, when we use Java space pipe space microservices, that is little complex. I'll help you understand in our next section. But wherein here, if you see Java space pipe space microservices, though in a URL it's replacing as a plus, that space is replacing as a plus, but in between there's a %7c coming. That means it's breaking and saying that search either for Java or microservices. Now let's take another example in a similar use case.
Yeah.
We don't give this space. All right. Open the
Yes.
bracket, Java, no space, pipe, microservices. Here we had 1,95 something, 1,950 lakhs, right?
Yeah.
1,950 lakhs, same results. But now you remove the space here. Here it's saying showing results for Java for microservices. It's not showing results for Java or microservices.
Got it.
There are no results. In fact, add is there, but it says there are no results. But wherein here, if we see, even we remove the space, but that space is understood as a %7C. Here now you see.
Yes, got it.
Okay, and that opening and closing bracket has become now %28 and %29. That means now it is more strongly following that particular Boolean logic. That opening bracket is now %28 and closing bracket is %29. This analyzing and realizing of URLs, as I mentioned, we are in a very basic set of things. And if we make it complex, people might not understand or might get confused or might think that it's very difficult to understand. So that's the reason I don't want to go much into the technicality. For now, just think that for Google, and means space or means pipe.
So Shiv, one small doubt here. So you mean to say between Java and microservices don't give space in front and behind pipe?
You give space or you don't give space. Both are giving you similar results.
Okay, because you said percentage is stronger, right? So
percentage
is also 7. Same in both the cases?
In both the cases. Let's rerun a search in a new tab. Okay. Again, we rerun a search in a new tab. Now here we have given Java, open bracket Java. There is no space, just pipe and microservices in continuation and close the bracket. Here we have the results. And here also we saw open the bracket Java space pipe and microservices, but the number of results are same. Now, if you analyze the URL pattern of both, you would not see much difference. The logic you would see is almost same.
Okay, so only thing is we need to make sure whenever we are using OR operator, that is pipe in Google, it should be in brackets. That follows same.
Wherever Google, LinkedIn, Naukri, Monster, if there is a OR, you have to keep that a bracket. Thumb rule, blindly follow. Whenever there is a OR between 2 or 3 different keywords, we have to keep it in the bracket.
Okay.
Okay. Now in this, this is for this one.
Shiv, I have one doubt. I think you just explained that too.
Yeah, please.
If we write Java without space or then without space microservices, likewise this Java pipe microservices, okay, instead of pipe, if we write or caps without space, so what would be the output for here?
There would be nothing. Java or microservices. So it's assuming, do you mean Java for microservices? For that we are getting it. But otherwise, your searches for Java or microservices did not match any document. It's only the one add, and that's a Google feature, but it doesn't have that Java and microservices as it is. You might get a result just in case if there is something existing like that. Let's say instead of or, we keep just hyphen. We have some pages where Java hyphen microservices would be there. We are getting those results. But if you see Java or microservices, we don't. Capital R, we didn't. So here it is Java for microservices. It is not Java. Search instead Java or microservices. We do not have anything. And I'm not saying tomorrow you might not get. Let's say tomorrow there is a web page came in which has open the bracket Java or in continuation microservices. You might get that one page in the result. But technically, is it understanding or as a or? No, it's understanding or as a keyword again.
Keyword.
Now, similarly, if or, we make it pipe without any space or with space. We have results. And if you see here, that opening bracket element has become %28 Java, and then that pipe %7C microservices, then closing bracket. Similarly, if we give space, how many we have? This many. Again, run. Again, same number of results. And again, if you see opening bracket element is %28. Huh? Hello? Opening bracket is %28 Java plus %7C, because that plus is basically a space. But again, in between, there is an operator %7C replaced by pipe and then microservices, and the number of results are same. Yeah, you were telling something?
No, Shiva, all good.
All good?
Just one thing, what does hyphen indicate here in recruitment? Any specific
We'll cover in future. What does hyphen indicate and when to use it? Good question.
Okay, great.
Hi, Shiv. Shiv, just a quick thing. So are we going to cover X-rays into this classes?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So what are we going to cover? Here is a table of content. Okay. Introduction, keyword search, direct answer, basic Boolean operator, building Boolean searches. When we use a combination of Boolean operator and a keyword, it becomes a Boolean search. Then people also search for, we are still here only. We have not gone to the X-ray searches. Before we go to the X-ray, there's a lot of basic groundwork to be done.
Right.
Understanding some advanced operator and their benefits related in URL, in title, in text, in anchor. Understanding various Google search operators like this with examples. Then we'll go to the Google, maybe another 3-4 sessions. Then we could go to the Google X-ray searches. That time it will be way lot easier to, means it will be spot on.
All right. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So that's the reason we're just going a little slow and step by step. Initial basics would be slow and step by step. And once the basics are strong, then definitely trust me, you can play with Google like anything.
Correct.
So it's more of what we're trying to build in the initial phases is a thought process around how the sourcing works and why. Basically, why is most important what we're trying to cover. How A for apple, we can say, but why not A for aeroplane? So that thought process we're trying to cover here.
All right, thank you.
All right. You can refer to the talk. There's a lot more in this, but otherwise, yeah, coming back to any more questions, anyone else, any further questions, any further doubts about and as well, or while we use it in the Google. And double quotes remains as it is, brackets remains as it is. How is not used? So Java or microservices, let's say architecture, SC, drive innovation. Okay, tutorials. So we don't want tutorials. We don't want trainings like Java point and all. So let's say now if we want to exclude the results, that we don't want any trainings, any online classes, any tutorials, or any such keywords. So what will you do? Now, let's say in LinkedIn, Naukri Monster, we are using not.
Okay, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you come again with the double quotes?
Double quotes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. Let me give some complex yet simple example to understand. It's simple. Member of technical staff in double quotes. So which are the results we see? Member of technical staff, member of technical staff, member of technical staff, member of technical staff, member of variety of results. It could be jobs, it could be individual profile, it could be anything. But whichever the results you see, member of technical staff is as it is. So that's it. Double quotes for Naukri, LinkedIn, Monster, Google, for everything it remains same. Double quotes is basically when we want that particular phrase as it is, that time we're using that double quotes. For an example, let's say, I don't know which result is this. Let's say we are just taking this part. Randomly we are picking up. Technical staff, Seattle, Washington, as it is. Technical staff at Salesforce, Seattle, Washington. 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 Randomly wait and just kept in a double quotes, and we started getting those results. These are the ads which are inorganic results. Those are a Google features. It doesn't have to do with the list of results what we're getting. But otherwise, if you see, we have a couple of results, and every result has technical staff at Salesforce, Seattle. Does that answer your question? What double quote is doing?
Yeah, I get it.
All right. Now let's say member of technical staff at Salesforce, Seattle. Okay, let's say here, okay, member of technical staff. Now let's say we don't want Washington in our searches. So the way in Naukri, Monster, LinkedIn, we are using NOT not in a capital letter, and then we are putting up brackets and excluding those keywords, something like this. Something like this, not recruiter, not hiring, not cloud engineer. When we run a couple of searches. Page is broken now. So whenever we want to exclude a keyword, we use in LinkedIn Naukri Monster NOT not in caps, and we mention those particular keywords. And if you want to exclude multiple keywords, then we are also mentioning those many number of multiple keywords, after the not. And not is something exclusion, and exclusion has to be always used at last. Where is it? It's there in the note. Okay, Java, like this, not recruiter and hiring and cloud. It's trying to exclude not recruiter and hiring and cloud, all three keywords. It's trying to exclude not recruiter or hiring or cloud engineer. And whenever we use not, thumb rule of using not, it has always to be used at last. So now let's say Java and microservices. We have technologies. Okay, something like tutorial. So minus training minus tutorial minus.
So
Okay.
here, Shiv, we can use not, but because we are using multiple words, we are using minus, is it?
Number of. So here we can't use minus and keep in a bracket 1 keyword, 2 keyword like this. So the number of keywords we want to exclude, after every keyword at last, the minus has to be mentioned and there shouldn't be any gap. We'll cover in detail why there shouldn't be any gap in our next training. But for now, just take a note that not in a Google used in a format of minus and that particular keyword immediately.
Okay, but not also works on this?
No.
Okay.
Not also will understood by Google as a
Keyword.
but not as an operator. That will cover in detail in our upcoming session.
Sure.
But for
This
now,
is only Google, right, Shiv? For LinkedIn and all, we can use the word.
For LinkedIn and
NOT.
all, you can use NOT not, but wherein for a Google, it's minus and immediate keyword. And additional use cases of minus space keyword or minus open the bracket keyword or keyword or minus open the bracket keyword and keyword that will cover in our upcoming session. For now, just think that in Google, if we have to use not, we have to use at last. Not in Google, in Monster, Naukri, any of the portal, the first thumb rule of using not is it has to be used always at last. First thing. Second thing, when we are using it at last, in a Naukri, LinkedIn, Monster, there's a different way to use it, and wherein in a Google, there's a different way to use it. The way in a Google is minus keyword immediately, space minus keyword immediately. And additional use cases, what will happen if we don't give space? If we give space, that tidy we'll do in our upcoming session. But for now, I'll just take a pause for and or in depth. And if there are any further questions, please do feel free to ask. I think double quotes we are good, brackets we are good, and or we are good. Not is something remaining. We'll cover in our upcoming part.
Is there any limitation to use not here in Google?
Overall, there is a limitation of 32 keywords in Google. That's where when we go to the advanced sessions, we'll know the advantages of using minus, not using extra spaces, and all. But now let's keep it simple and basic. Those things is to be covered in advanced sessions.
Shiv, I want to know, you said right now, overall, we can use 32 keywords while searching any profile or anything in Google, right?
Yeah, up to 32 keywords Google accepts. Beyond that, Google will start rejecting a keywords which has lesser number of results. As I mentioned, that is a complex example. When we go to little advanced sessions, that time we'll cover.
But usually, suppose if we search anything by using, particular line, particular headline, which contain a more than 32 keywords, including space as a, that keyword. So we generally get the result, right? That's what I would feel like. More than 32, you said like it will not accept, right? It will accept, but
it's not that hard and fast rule. More than 32, it will not accept. Let's say if you go up to 50 also. Let's say you have picked up someone's summary from the LinkedIn profile, which has up to 50. If the result is existing, it will give you. It will not, I'm not saying that it will exclude, but in a combination of and or not, it's very rare that the result is existing when we are crossing beyond 32. That's where what it does, let's say 40 keywords we have given. So up to 32 keywords, it will give us a strong result. Additional 8 keywords, which has a least result, it will start saying that this word is not including in the result. That will show in our advanced session. Definitely we'll cover that, but it's a part of little advanced session. Let's not talk about it now.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
But these 32 words are inclusive of operators, right?
32 are inclusive of operator. No, it excludes. But if you give those spaces, then that includes. That's the reason reducing the spaces, all those things will cover. where up to 32 keyword and how it is considered. That we'll cover in future.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Otherwise, please feel free to ask any doubt about and or pipe and the bracket. So there is a lot of depth, as I mentioned last time itself. In our last session itself, I mentioned for that particular bracket, there's a lot of that, but we'll cover in today's session. That I think with pretty much of evidence, we covered it, why that particular bracket is important. Similarly, the way you're asking 32 keywords and then space, whether it includes that or minus, whether that doesn't includes, how to give that. There's a lot of depth we'll cover slowly, step by step. Otherwise, it would be way too much. All right. And thank you so much for each and everyone for your contributions and all that we could run on a paid version of Zoom now onwards. I think this is pretty much helpful for us. It's not giving us those every 40 minutes break and all, and we could continue the session as long as possible. It's just that today at my place, the weather is really bad. There's a power disconnection. It's continuously raining from morning, but otherwise, thank you so much for each and everyone. Let's connect tomorrow. If you have any doubts, stay back. Otherwise, feel free to drop. Tomorrow morning.
Shiv,
Yeah.
just last question.
Mhm.
It would be better if you can just share the names of the this Chrome's extension that basically useful for us. If you know which will be useful for us.
For now, we'll go step by step. That's what I'm saying. Let's not jump into everything at once.
Acha.
Okay. Now, if you see here, playing with contact, exploring Google custom search engines, Boolean enroller, Google CSCs, finding email IDs via Chrome extensions, and some cool hacks like Gmail Compose. So everything is there. If you just go through the content, you would not see anything that is missing. But if you see anything that is missing, feel free to ping me. I'll add that.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
All right, but step-by-step approach would be much better.
Great.
Thank you, Shiv.
So that each one of us, now we have a couple of pressures also. Let them feel it easy first of all. To make them feel it easy, we should go that step-by-step approach. Even sometimes I've seen even the experienced person got confused when they missed here and there. I think a couple of you are here itself, and you are the best example.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thanks, everyone. As I mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to stay back, or else feel free to drop off. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you
Hey,
so
hi,
much.
Shiv.
Yeah.
Shiv, so today we have seen separately and or, right? So will we also look at it as a combination altogether?
Yes, we'll go step by step.
Okay, so that will be covered in the next sessions, right?
Yes. Next session would have more of not, die, and then the combination of and or nots.
Okay.
That's going to be more interesting. See, every session is going to raise the bar with the learnings. Every session you would see something really interesting coming out, but that will happen when we go only step-by-step approach. Hopefully, today's session was interesting than previous session. Previous session was interesting than before that one. You have seen the variations, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Similarly, you'll keep seeing a variation in every session.
Sure.
But that will happen when we take a step-by-step approach. So that now we are going on a next, our basics are clear and we are actually understanding it clearly. I can directly jump into the X-ray searches, but half of people might understood, half of people might not understood. And then after practicing also, you might come across various use cases that things are working, things are not working, then you might get confused. So that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
Shiv, when you're taking the session today on LinkedIn, when you gave the example of member of technical staff, there was something which I noticed as keyword search. Is it coming only for a paid user, or is that feature now available?
No, mine is a free version. I have a paid version, but I never use paid version in the trainings. All the trainings would be completely on a free version.
Because I could not see. I was actually interested, so I went while you were taking the session just to see where the keyword search come. But it was not there. Maybe I should reload, or I don't know. I just.
It depends on our network circle. We'll cover that too.
Oh, okay. Okay.
LinkedIn will not give us a result. It might give me less or more. Similarly, it might give you less or more. It depends on our network, the first and second degree network.
Okay, no, but the option for keyword search, like we have people, jobs, companies, country, the filters like that. I saw somewhere an option for keyword search in your LinkedIn, but I could not see it in mine, so I was little confused.
Which one?
Put in any search, anything.
Java.
Anything, yeah.
Okay.
No. Okay, it's not there.
I think you got confused. Let's say click on people.
Yeah.
There is a session in future.
Okay.
In depth on LinkedIn. Where is it? Okay, dive deep on direct and indirect search on LinkedIn. There are a lot of hidden operators which we don't know that will cover in future.
Okay.
Now, if you see here people, and then if you click on all filters, this is where you'll see additional filters.
Oh, okay.
These you might be referring to.
Yes.
Like keyword search and all. It's there in your LinkedIn also.
Okay.
First search, click on people, and then click on all filters.
All filters. Got it.
So like that, there are a lot of hidden things in LinkedIn also, which we use day in, day out, but we might not be aware of. But that is also a part of sessions in future.
Sure.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Shiv, are we getting the previous sessions tonight, Shiv?
What, Guana?
Previous sessions, can you please upload it?
I'll upload either tonight or tomorrow afternoon. I'll upload and I'll announce in the group. And hope everyone is a part of the group, Sourcing Express or some of the other sourcing groups, right?
Yeah.
All right then. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Bye. Good night.
Thank you, Shiv.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you
Bye,
so much.
everyone.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you, Shiv.
Thank you.